Now let me introduce you to our next speaker, John Simon. John Simon is an active entrepreneur. He's the creator and investor in both the for-profit and non-profit sectors. He's currently a managing director of Stigma Prime Ventures, where he focuses on software-based businesses and disruptive technology businesses. John is a co-founder and current trustee of the Stepping Stone Foundation, a nonprofit organization that helps provide educational opportunities to deserving inner-city students. In addition, he's continued his involvement with the nonprofit sector by founding the GreenLight Fund, which spurs the replication and growth of innovative nonprofits. John was honored with the 2015 Lewis Family Foundation CEO Social Leadership Award at the Boston Business Journal's annual Corporate Citizenship Summit. John is a graduate of Harvard University, earning his BA in History and Science, and a graduate of Oxford University, where he was a Rhodes Scholar and received his MA in Politics, Philosophy, and Economics. Please help me in welcoming John to the stage.
Thank you for that introduction. It's an honor and pleasure to be here today. My name is John Simon. I'm an alum, Harvard, class of 1984, and I'm the co-founder and board chair of the GreenLight Fund. And our big public service idea is to radically change the way great social innovation spreads. Now you might ask, why would we even need something like that? Well, let me do a thought experiment for a second. Imagine that the iPhone was just developed, and it's available now after 10 years in 5 cities. That's it, only 5 cities. Now imagine another scenario. Uber, developed, working great in San Francisco, spread to LA, Oklahoma City, Denver, Chicago. That's it. Only available in just a few cities. Or, even more heartbreakingly, imagine that a great new technique was developed to actually move the needle in improving cure rates for a certain type of breast cancer. It was published, information was available everywhere, and it was available in Oklahoma City, Denver, St. Louis, and that's it. It seems almost ridiculous to think about that, right? It seems like it's a paradox. There's just no way that could occur. But in fact, that's the situation in the whole social innovation, social entrepreneurship space. Time and time again, great social entrepreneurs are developing, using new technology, new partnerships, new service delivery models, ways to completely change outcomes on things. Get kids ready to read in kindergarten at 70% rates instead of 20% rates. Actually reverse summer learning loss and make it summer learning gain. Actually increase the amount of scholarship aid and financial aid that graduates of high schools get by 100%. Great social entrepreneurs time and time again have developed these things, proven them in a city, spread to a few cities, and then they get stuck. They reach a certain equilibrium. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can do research, you can kind of confirm this, but I have my own experience doing that. I developed and co-founded a program that spread all over the UK and then 7 cities in the US before reaching a certain stasis or equilibrium. I also co-founded this organization called the Stepping Stone Foundation, which spread Boston, Philadelphia, and Hartford, reaches about 3,500 kids now on an annual basis, and just sort of reached equilibrium in those 3 cities. So it seems like a little problem, right? Why don't these things spread? But it's actually a massive problem if you really think about it. Because we actually know often, not always, but often, what the solutions are, what the solutions that work. It's just heartbreaking that they don't get to the cities that we care about, that they're not in force everywhere they really ought to be. So this is what we've focused on as our big idea at GreenLight. And we've created a model that contributes, hopefully, to addressing this challenge. So the way we work, and I'm going to say this shorthand just for time, we set up in a city, we raise a $3.5 million fund, call it GreenLight Detroit Fund 1. We hire a local executive director, we build a selection advisory committee, and we run this annual process every year, year after year, looking for where the gaps are, the unmet needs, the data that indicates there's an issue that's not being solved by the community, and that if we keep just doing the same things over and over again in the community, we're not going to address or move the needle on this issue. And then we focus on one a year, and we find the best world-class social entrepreneur that we can find who's proven great outcomes in this area, just happens not to be in our city. And then we bring that social entrepreneur to the city, we help make it work, we fund it, we help make it scale, and then it reaches sustainability. And it's working. So Boston, just to shorthand, we've been doing this 11 years. We've brought 10 world-class social entrepreneurs to Boston. This year, they'll reach about 120,000 children and families, delivering great results and improved outcomes. And most children and families will be touched multiple times by multiple of our programs, really helping move the needle collectively as a community. And just to simplify, having then set up next in Philadelphia in the Bay Area, the results are even at a higher trajectory than Boston. So with that, we started to set up one city at a time. We inaugurated Cincinnati, Detroit, and then our next, which we won't announce until March, is Charlotte. So we're in 6 cities. Well, where are we headed with this? Not that we've picked any of these cities yet, but we're working on cities like Baltimore and Kansas City and a handful of other cities right now. And every year we're at the rate of doing at least one new city, starting to tick that up to 2 cities, and then eventually 3 new cities a year. And once we've done this, we will have created this network. It's a distribution network for the world's greatest social entrepreneurs so that we can get them working in cities. And overall, this will end up making a really, really big impact. So if we're reaching about 120,000 children and families in Boston this year, once we're in 35 cities, and we've done this multiple times in all the cities that we're in, we'll have helped a couple hundred things that work get to our communities, and we'll be serving 3 to 4 million children and families on an annual basis. And we'll be continuing to scale and continuing to grow beyond that. So hopefully, I've said enough to qualify as a big idea, a big macro idea, but I want to get micro for a second and think about what this might mean to you here in this room. And if I can, I'll just go back to that slide. So first thing, it should be obvious, as we scale and as we grow, we're creating lots and lots of opportunities for people to volunteer, people to work, either for us or for the organizations that we bring to the cities that we're in. Lots and lots of opportunities. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of opportunities eventually as we scale. In addition, if you have a city that you care about and you're thinking about potentially helping us get to that city, nothing makes us happier than being pulled into a city because the impact on the city and the demands in cities that we're seeing is enormous, but we have to organize these local coalitions to make it happen. That's the first thing. There's opportunity. Second thing is, as you think about social entrepreneurship, whether it's something you might start or whether it's a social entrepreneur you might help, hopefully this network, the existence of what we're doing, represents a little bit of a push, maybe a little bit more of a push to go do it or help make it happen. Because if you prove something in a location and you prove it in a couple locations, you could drop it in the GreenLight network, and eventually it could be reaching hundreds and hundreds and thousands of children and families a year. So we're trying to sort of change the calculus in the sector, change the risk-reward for social entrepreneurs, the opportunities for them to leverage ideas that you come across or they come across and really help them scale. Third thing it might mean to you is a little bit reflective. So it's really never too early or too late to do something, as Dean Corbin would call it, public interested. This idea I kind of stumbled on in my early 40s, which is late when it comes to being a social entrepreneur in a particular thing. We back people, and we do back people at GreenLight, all shapes and sizes, all orientations, all ages. We have 25-year-old social entrepreneurs that we back. We have 50-year-old social entrepreneurs we back. It's never too late to do something great. You just have to be open to it, and you have to listen for those opportunities. You have to think about where those doors open in your life and when you might come across something. You just never know when that pivotal opportunity might hit you to now go and do something, and be open to not only listening, but taking some action and taking a few steps to help make something happen. You just might have stumbled at that point across a pivotal opportunity to use this Harvard education for the good in the service of others. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Your presentation just made me think how interrelated a lot of these big ideas are, right? Because you're speaking about creating networks through which we can spread ideas and scale up. Sozi spoke about how can we communicate among different municipal cities and localities so that we can work together, so that we can actually make change. Because even if it's not happening at the federal level, we can unite as a network so that we can make change happen.